やはり君からこうしておくべきだったな。
Toka was not speaking to Aoko, but to the dead body. There was no response. No clouds of breath. Coming to terms that he was truly dead, Aoko pushed herself up to her feet.
案外無様ね。
Facing her sister in the distance, Aoko spoke hoarsely.
でも正しい選択だわ。これで勝負はやり直しだもの。
She turned away from Soujuurou and stared at Aoko. They stood far apart. Farther apart than their positions made them seem. Though there was nothing left to say, the two of them exchanged words in respect of the fact they were once sisters.
ああ、魔術刻印という私の切り札はこの通りで、人狼というカードもお前の切り札の前に敗れ去った。だが、そちらも刻印を使い切り、彼も今息絶えた。互いに決定打はなくなったわけだ。
そうね。私も甘かった。人狼が再起不能になった時点で、あなたが敗北を認めたなんて勝手に思い上がるんだから。本来ならそうなるんだけど、あなたがそんなに諦めがいいのなら、この町に戻ってきはしないものね。本当に甘かった。
It was clear to Toko that Aoko was trying to suppress her emotions. Aoko was right though. Her sister had counted on Beowulf to succeed. As mages, no matter what cards Aoko or Alice had in their hands, they were helpless against the werewolf. But then, Soujuurou had shown up, and Toko couldn't win as long as he was around. Unfortunately, though he had stopped the werewolf, he had been defenseless against the mage. So she had to kill him. With Soujuurou out of the way, no one could hold Bio back. It would take time for him to recover, but as long as his wounds were only mental, that could be overcome. Alice and Aoko could try to attack again before he recovered, but Alice was being kept in check by the poison, so Toko still had the advantage. Stalemate still. The battle would drag on. Unless Aoko were to use it. Powdery snow began to whirl around. The air around her wailed. It was magecraft that transcended all that was mystical. The gate to miracles beyond human comprehension, ready to show itself. Through magic?
やる気のようね、青子。
Toko released the crests maintaining the fields. With that, her grandfather would be freed, and the barriers around Misaki would be restored. Which was not what Toko wanted, but it was that or forfeit her life. The crests at her disposal were now twice as powerful as if sisters. Aoko gives it this new threat with her eyes half closed. None of this was her concern. Far removed from the situation, she was searching for something hidden deeper inside herself, desperate to reach it. There it was, an odd feeling, like picking up a
algae.
That one. It was not the fire of emotion. It was not solid nor great. It must have been people meant by rising to the occasion. Abandoning thought itself, Aoko held onto that feeling as she stared at her enemy.
いいわよ、トウコ。
She spoke softly, yet more loudly than a scream.
お望み通り本当の魔法を見せてあげる。
Focusing her power into the dim crests on her right arm, she weaved the words together. A single incantation. A final heartfelt farewell. A brilliant blue-colored magic, taking time back to when a certain someone had been blessed. To put it simply, Magecraft is human wisdom. It is the world as we know it. Magic is the singularity that exists beyond either of those. At the beginning, the first changed all. Next, the second recognized many. In answer, the third showed the future. Tethered, the fourth concealed itself. And the final fifth had long since lost its significance. Someone once said, and it only ended at the third. Magecraft is the study of history. Deeds of our making, and life orbiting the planet. But true magic is the providence of a god beyond the heavens. Why do those who stand on the earth extol the virtues of miracles beyond humankind and the planet? This was an undeniable sin. Magic was the enemy of humanity. That is why those who obtain a new magic are killed by their red shadow.
Kike, 万物の霊長。
Aoka's voice resonated through and high above the weathered skies. The air began to fracture, turning the scenery to broken glass. Aoko wondered whether she should fight or flee. She decided to try and keep her feelings in check and see this through. But the object of her obsession for so many years was right in front of her. Nationality was slipping from her grasp. But their fates were now uncertain. Aoko had an overwhelming advantage when it came to her quests and the terrain. When it came to true magic, however, if the Aozaki magic was anything like Alice Kuonji's fairytale monsters, then mage strength was not a part of the equation. At this point, it was Aoko against magic itself. And there was no winning against truth. The transcendence and idiosyncrasy of true magic rendered things like magecraft irrelevant.
だが
Aoko stared at her sister, wondering if she could actually use it. Her proclamation lacked conviction. She had raised her voice, but that was out of discipline. It had not been the arrogant conviction to sacrifice someone else for her own gain. Having not been chosen to inherit it, Aoko could not imagine what the magic in her sister was. Only that it was a force violent enough to change the world. No human mind could withstand the audacity required to make an enemy of the world itself. Especially not someone as indecisive as her sister. The power of magic would surely cripple her. Feeling Toko's eyes on her, Aoko doubted herself. She could not help but hesitate. Terror gripped her heart tighter.
でも、だからって。
She could not run away forever. Her hesitation and terror meant she would never forgive herself for stopping now. Closing her eyes, she pushed herself into the final stage. Time stopped, like a light being switched off. She submerged herself in her own darkness. Everything froze. Only she moved. Everything around her disappeared as she passed a limitless stream of stars. And as soon as she did, she wanted to disappear into the empty thoughtlessness, a place she arrived in without any answers. Not again. The red shadow will surely come this time. Suddenly, I saw a new memory. Possibly because I used an hour to make the trade for... I heard a familiar yet new sound. I wish for nothing. I seek nothing. I will diffuse with the consciousness that hurtles backwards in time to zero. The sound, the bitter, sad meaninglessness pulls me by my hair. But I have to resist. The red ghost was always going to be my biggest hurdle. I must forget the valley of life. I must forget the dignity of death. The sound persists. It's got nothing to do with this journey. It's just an external distraction. And yet, I think I finally understand. I know what noise has been making me so uneasy. What? The unsettling whispers were directed at me. Or perhaps the red shadow was perplexed by the quiet soul listening to it. It glares at me, its eyes full of hatred. How could I be so unprepared? Don't tell me. You can't be serious. You're going to turn me into your prey for that? This is your everything. You have nothing else. The effect of rewinding. The decision to never say never. His prime. His meaningless life. She negated that. She used her superior power to negate that sound which was an absolute rule to him. Just brushed it aside. Like it was a cobweb. The sound disappeared. A new one replaced it. I wish for nothing, I want nothing. A pure, obedient heart. That's why you get nothing. Shit. A life of falsehood led by affirmation. This is ridiculous. My legs moved towards the future, but they stop. Change of plans. I'm taking a different path. Nothing's changed. It's just something has made me real mad. How can I put it? You call this past, you idiot? If I don't complain about something to someone, I'll explode. Gosh, I'm Sundays. Even if it's just to the voice, or to he who hears it, or to the part of me who just stays quiet and watches, or to the one who did that to him. With no answer, I open my eyes.
告げる
Aoko released everything she had dragged up. As for what was there or what she saw, she could not remember. All she held on to was the fury that burned in her heart. Pushed on by something she did not know what, she opened the door to magic. The change was extraordinary. Beneath her, the snow vanished, replaced by a small patch of lush green grass. This ground had never existed under the frozen blanket. It had been rewritten into a new landscape. The very elements rejected her, as if the world itself was fighting back. The electrical discharge lashed in her body. This miracle threatened to destroy the world. The world had to protect itself. It moved through expansion. Pain scorched her every cell, trying to tear away her consciousness. But she did not falter. All this pain and this loneliness was to take her up to their root. Ever since inheriting through magic, she had suffered this torture time and time again. She contended against the voiceless protest of the cosmos. The burden engulfed her retinas and nerves in flames. And then, light. She finally understood. She remembers why she came back and what she wanted to scream.
青を示す我が名において告げる
A censoring voice told her to stop. At the edges of oblivion, her hand touched a true form of magic. A snarling great shadow was there, telling her it was no use. Oh, go fuck off. So much doubt, so much fear. But such things meant nothing to her. To me. I don't care about the magician's obligations or the destruction of mankind. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I only have one reason for doing anything right now. God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I just want to save him!
No, say.
A blue whirlwind whisked up around her. Casting aside her doubt and sorrow, the magician played her trick upon the world. Holy shit! Time flowed backward. Childhood memories were overwritten. White flowers appeared as far as the eye could see. Brighter than snow, they rippled like a wave across the world, devouring it. Holy! Oh.
5 timeless words.
What was declared had come to be. At this time, at place alone, the pet magic made itself known. In the blink of an eye, the snowy clearing had transformed. A sea of fully bloomed white flowers blanketed the grounds. Oh, the dilapidated school building and the bare winter trees signified this was the original world. The once cold wind that blew with a pleasant warmth across the landscape. Even the night sky was once again teeming with stars. If one reached out, one could almost touch them. It was a mix of comfort and solitude, quiet enough to carry the sound of insects flying through the air. A scene far remote from the impurity and grief of humans. A world with nothing, yet one that needed nothing. It was his most precious memory. The winter tundra had changed into a spring meadow. Aoko's so-called true magic confused Toko. Sure, it was pleasing to the eye, but she wanted to see something less idyllic. Aoko's spell was clearly no small feat, but the erotic mana had not changed. There to be confused though, and deal with something like Alice Kuonji's flat snark. The only changes seemed to be the flower field and Aoko's appearance. She seemed to have received some enchantment to her physical form, but it would never be enough to match Toko.
確かに魔法といえば魔法だが
Toko said with a hint of annoyance.
あいにくとお互い夢見る年頃ではないんだまさかそれで終わりではないだろ
Aoko began walking through the sea of flowers. But she was not heading towards Toko.
いえ、これでおしまいよ。私も、あなたも。
Aoko's words sent a wave of unease through Toko. Her sister's voice seemed different somehow. It was mostly the same in pitch, so it had to be the tone. No, that was the same too. Something was off. Could it be? It was then Toko noticed something else that had changed. Not just Toko and the clearing. The severe body lying at Toko's feet. It was now whole. Hey! Corpse reanimation? Wound healing? Dragging him back from the heavens? It did not look like Aoko had used a significant formula. Or hell. And besides, regenerating a body did not bring it back to life. Since the dawn of time, even true magic has never been able to bring back the dead. But the body of the boy behind Aoko was moving. It was breathing, like it was taking a nap.
死者の蘇生が青崎の魔法いや違うあれは蘇生というより
Or soldiers somehow saved the land that slicing it performed. Jesus. Before she could think of an answer, Toko realized what had seemed out of place to her before. Give me a moment. Aoko's mannerisms appeared beyond their years. Her appearance had changed ever so slightly, but beyond there had been a change from within. By the time Toko arrived at that seemingly impossible conclusion, Aoko had closed the distance between them.
Bye,
bitch.
セット。
Aoko raised her left hand to eye level. Toko could see. No. And the magical energy generating inside the Aoko. It was sound Toko had never heard before. Aoko only possessed single function. Blood-read secrets, no better than any other third-rate mage. So she generated magical energy at a much lower rate than Toko. However, this speed was absurdly quick. Went even faster than the blood pumping through her body. Magecraft could vibrate, but how the hell were the activated magic circuits audible? Even the association had never heard of such a thing. Well, I guess Aoko is special.
我が目前に勝利ありき。
Sparked reaction, but the sudden dread she felt took hurriedly carved runes into the air. Aoko summoned the divine protection of victory. Here, the rather saw for the barrier, which was further enhanced by her crests. Paying it no mind, Aoko held their arm steady, not moving it up to strike your target directly.
まだ展開。
Aoko commanded herself secondly. This was beyond magecraft. In just a few words, she had fired 20 magic bullets. Like a meteor shower, the bullets smashed through the rocket-proof rune barrier. Jesus Christ. As well as Soko's spell-woven coat.
蒼天ではなく展開だと。
The protective runes lining her coat screamed. They would not be able to take another barrage like that. And she had already taken internal injuries. She learned to admit it, but Aoko vastly outclassed Toko in terms of raw power. Even harder to admit was that her sister probably had not even brought out the big guns yet.
アンサズ、サウェル、イングズ。
Jumping backwards, Toko drew more runic symbols in the air. In response, her crest burned brightly. But
遅い。
I cannot wait to use their abilities to find a game I completely forgot about, but contains a lot of type 1 characters. Let's take a board. Aoko nullified the runes. Wow. Solving them before they could be given meaning. The power of Aoko's words has surpassed the magical energy of Toko's ruined magecraft. With the runes nullified, Aoko continued advancing through the white flowers. From her calmness to the robust spinning of her magic circuits and her breathing, she was different. A woman with sublime self-control, I feared only found in mages with a lifetime of combat experience.
あれは時間か。
Given the evidence, that was the only explanation for the Aozaki magic. Aoko's magic circuits had not been amplified. That would have been impossible anyway. Like Toko, she would have to externalize them, which would just increase the scope of her magical energy and techniques. By nature, the quality of a mage's magic secrets did not change. But Aoko was not clearly a superior mage to Toko. So there was only one logical conclusion. In an instant, she had grown from an amateur to a veteran. She fast-forwarded her own time. The scarred red mage turned her back on her sister and ran. She knew she could not win, so she fled towards the old school building. Aoko did not fire. Not out of pity, but because she deduced that an attack at this range was risky. She went to chase after her sister but stopped suddenly. A few words caught in her throat. She took a small breath.
Alice, そいつ、お願い。
Oh, you're up. She sits slightly embarrassed by the maturity of her voice. White petals flitted through the air. Without looking back, she made after Toko, her long hair flowing behind her. Good morning, sunshine. His eyelids snapped open. At last, Soujuurou awoke from his long slumber. Lying on his bed, he gazed up at the stars. The trees around him created a porthole into space. It's beautiful. Despite seeing all this for the first time, he felt an uncomfortable sense of deja vu. So many questions. What happened before he fell asleep? Why had he been sleeping? Everything was just so hazy. It was like he had walked out the door 1 minute and woken up in bed the next. With so many thoughts clouding his mind, he could barely recall his own name. All he could remember was a girl he'd never seen before. And something thin around his neck.
Shizuki-kun.
Who's that? The voice, quiet and quiet but clear, belonged to the girl named Alice Kuonji. Who was it this time?
そういえば、そうだった。
Oh yeah, I got sliced. Is that up mumbling incoherently? The black-clad girl knelt next to him.
花だ。
Yeah, they're beautiful, he said, paying no mind to Alice. Under the blue moonlight, spring flowers swayed, surrounded by dead trees and snow. Against the curtain of night, white petals danced in the breeze like butterflies. Staring long and hard at the spectacle, Soujuurou suddenly raised his fingers to his neck. He moved carefully like he was touching a wound. Then, gradually, he began squeezing. Harder. Harder.
Shizuki-kun.
The voice of the girl beside him brought him back to reality.
せっかく戻れたのに。また行くの？
She sounded both sad and reproachful. But Soujuurou did not understand why. Seeing the uncharacteristic concern in her eyes snapped him to his senses.
行くってどこに？
His fingers felt away from his neck. Fell. Without answering, she blankly looked at the sky. There was only the infinite darkness of space.
まあいいや。それより、俺は何をしてたんだろ
You got revved.
う。なんか変だ。ごちゃごちゃしてる。
Soujuurou tilted his head in confusion. Alice observed him motionlessly. This bewildered boy was a far cry from the one that made short work of a werewolf. Then again, this was Soujuurou. As she stared at him, she realized she did not have an answer he could understand. So she tried asking a question. The same question she had asked him repeatedly as he slept but eventually gave up, expecting a response to.
今までしずきくんは何をしていたの？
Our quiet question was spoken like an enthralling spell of magecraft. Said spell seemed to work, and Soujuurou sank into a sea of memories. Hey. Atop the bright white hill, they quietly sat for a while, like siblings.
誰かの声が聞こえた気がする。何かを聞いているようだった。けど、自分は最後まで一言も返せなかった。
Though consumed by the darkness of death, he could still vaguely recall the girl's question. He was not aware that he had died, but it seemed a fragment of time remained from when he had been with her. Soujuurou's expression darkened, filled with regret. Looking at his profile, Alice pressed him further.
それで欲しいものは見つかった？
Remembering that someone had asked him questions, he gave a slight nod.
ああ、そうだった。けれどね、アリス。そんなものは見つからないって思っていたんだ。うん。ずっとそう思っていた。
The regret in his voice was accomplished by a hint of strength. Lowering his gaze, Soujuurou saw a white flower garden that looked like something from the afterlife. It shone brightly, captivating him.
思い出した。青子の前でざっくり言ったんだっけ？
Yeah, that was pretty gruesome.
なのに生きているのはどういうことなんだろう。
Soujuurou said, prodding his body curiously. His arms were their old selves again. But what of Aoko? She became a MILF. He turned towards Alice for an answer. Aoko was sat amongst the flowers, looking sullen.
巻き戻されたのよ、しずきくんは。この風景も本来はあなたの記憶だけど、わからない。
Alice seemed to be speaking in riddles.
俺の記憶って、その割には知らないところなんだけど。
今しずきくんの時間は青子に使われているから、それが戻されるまで思い出すことはないわ。
She answered ominously as she cast her gaze over the flower garden.
でもこれが消えてしまうのは残念ね。元に戻れば思い返せるのは私だけなのに。
Looking at the white blossoms, she smiled momentarily.
おう。
Her words only confused him further.
アリス、君答える気がないんだろう。
He said dejectedly, prompting Alice to face him. What emotions lay inside those deep eyes?
意味のない話だけど聞きたい？
Yeah.
聞きたい。アリスが教えてくれるならなおさらだ。
Soujuurou nodded enthusiastically, while Alice took a deep breath and closed her eyes. When she spoke in as caring a tone as she was capable of.
結論だけ言うと、あなたは一度死んで生き返ったの。しずきくんが瞳子さんに殺されてから、青子が目を覚ますまでの5分間分の時間を巻き戻して。その時、あなたは10年近い年月を青子に使われた。2人とも肉体年齢は変わってないから、中の時間だけ持っていったんでしょうね。だから今、この景色を懐かしく思えるのは 青子だけ。そして
And once the time exchange was over, neither Aoko nor Soujuurou would remember what happened during these moments. When Aoko used someone else to channel her true magic, it did not affect her alone. If she had rewound time for only herself, the temporal inconsistencies would form part of her own experience. However, this was proper time travel. The inconsistencies would be corrected. And the magic ended. Both Aoko's memories of this place and Soujurou's unfamiliarity with it would be corrected. This miracle would become unrealized. All the observers would remember this brilliant white sea of flowers. Alice and Toko.
時間を持っていく
Soujuurou asked, his head tilting even farther at Alice's general explanation. She recalled how Aoko said that if you gave Soujuurou a roundabout answer, he would stop asking questions, even if he did not comprehend it.
しずきくんを生き返らせる方法はなかったから、命の復元より死そのものの回避を青子は試みたのよ。まだ青子には無理なのか、それとも今回もひよったのか。大きな操作は避けて小さな操作、自分とあなただけの交換にとどめたよね。あなたは今5分間だけ時間を飛んだことになるわ。仮に遠い未来、この時間を検索できる人がいたとしても、あなただけは誰にも見つけられない。だって時間軸の上にいなかったんですもの。そして同時に青子は自分の時間を上乗せするためにあなたから時間を借り受けた。多分幼年期の時間でしょうね。個人の時間操作は忘却している部分の方が楽だと聞くし。しずきくん。
Should I slow down? Alice tested with her eyes. All Soujuurou could do was nod.
つまり2つの奇跡を青子は行使したの。あなたの体の巻き戻しと自分の体の早送りね。しずきくんの時間に介入する際、ついでに10年分の時間を借り受けて未来の自分を持ってきた。だから今瞳子さんを殺そうとしているのは27歳分の時間を持った青崎青子ということになるわ。
What on earth was Alice talking about? Soujurou's expression gave away his thoughts, though the part about Toko made him furrow his brow.
瞳子さんを殺すって青子が
もう終わってるでしょうけど。
As soon as Alice answered, Soujuurou sped off. Kicking up white petals behind him as he ran, the brave boy who defeated the werewolf was back. Alice watched him go. On a snowy night, the same boy ran down Shiro Inuzuka Hill for her too. Soujuurou entered the old school building. Lights flashed and the sounds of destruction exploded around him, threatening to turn the area into a burial ground. Still, he remained focused.
ほら。悪いけれど、やっぱり無駄だったわ、青子。
Her words only reached the white flowers around her. Aoko knew Soujuurou too well, so she wanted Alice to stop him. If he tried to interfere in the battle against Toko, she could not protect him this time. But it was too late to celebrate Aoko's judgment now. The girl in black had no intention of going after him. She simply sat for a while, gazing forlornly at the transient flower garden. It's really beautiful. A storm of magic bullets struck down a hail of lightning blades. A mage's workshop was a home base, and last line of defense. It featured an abundance of defensive spells designed to cut down brazen challenges and fees. The old school building was no exception, painstakingly rigged by the puppet master and goon mage, Aoko Aozaki. Collection of preserved sessions, the workshop was set to indiscriminately destroy any intruders.
足止めぐらいは果たせバカモン
Yeah, you started it. Aoko complained as she ran down the hallway, activating her traps along the way. But that seemed to work. None of the runes, regardless of the quality or quantity, could slow her sister down. And reflect the reaction, speed, and ability to their attacks could only be described as transcendent. Even magic bullets she fired from both her arms were too much, destroying the runes and the very walls that housed them.
それで一人前のつもりか単細胞め熟成したところで壊すことしかできないとは呆れたな
If they want that's acting like a child, for the magic-related reasons, as she spat out her words, the ceiling opened, decreasing the pressure from the rooms and the family-related reasons. Two invisible walls popped up in the hallway. Aoko stopped and swung her right leg upward. Straight towards the ceiling. Her foot cut through the thick air like a knife through butter, shattering the ceiling and the runes along with it.
あんたの方こそいつまで経ってもこの凝り性どこもかしこもルーンだらけ少しは遠慮ってもんがないの宇宙要塞ばりに改造してんじゃないってのみんなの思い出の校舎なんだからもっと大切に扱いなさいよね
There were boards along the hallway. It had withstood the decades of wind and snow were now destroyed. Aoko charged forward. The chaos was inevitable. Notoka's runes carried flaming creatures. Aoko's magic bullets destroyed all without prejudice.
優雅さのかけらもないあんなのが自分の妹だと思うと
Aoko would do anything to change her blood, but there were more pressing matters at hand. The girl rushing her now was not the sister she remembered, rather a more complete version of her. Aoko could not afford to let her guard down for a second. But
笑わせるそんなものが魔法であるものか
lookless time travel, Aoko did not believe that it was the true nature of the Aozaki's magic. Aoko's transformation had to be a mere byproduct of true magic. She couldn't make heads or tails out of its depths even with Aoko having achieved it. At the very least, it was not so simple a miracle. After all, the concept of time travel was already made possible through the second magic. Record and manipulation, dimension of possibilities, and so forth involved the operation of parallel worlds. So there was no way that could be the fifth magic.
となると次に出てくる疑問はこれか。青子、貴様、その10年分の時間をどこから持ってきた？
あのボンクラからよ。悪い。後で返すんだから、あんたに非難される覚えはありませんけど。
That made sense. There was a bias, but the amount of time on his axis had not been changed. But
ではあの5分間はどうする？まさか私を始末した後彼を元の状態に戻すのか？
Aoko stopped in her tracks. Doko had took aim at Aoko's glaring oversight. Aozaki magic and Aoko's humanity were inconsistent.
そうだ、時間操作では死者の蘇生は許されない。お前がしたことは一時だけの気休めか。
The magic rests on Toko's back began to demonstrate their true worth. Drawing upon the magical energy stored in the crests, she materialized through the largest trap yet in the hallway.
あるいはより罪深い暴虐ということだ。
Three rune stones appeared. Their scale and level of magical energy were wildly different from the other runes. Created by Toko herself at the Mage's Association. They were replicas of one of the last primordial runes created by a Nordic giant. The three thin crystalline lenses amplified their carved runes tens of millions of times. They rendered projectiles like magic bullets ineffective. Even if Aoko's magical output far exceeded Toko's, these giant slabs were several times more powerful still. Aoko's signature Mishcraft could only release magical energy, so she had no way to defend or evade the attack.
Main, set.
Pushing herself on, Aoko took a deep breath of resolve. Instead of defending or dodging, she bent low and charged into the rune storm.
Kisama, この時間軸に存在していないな。
Infuriated by the realization, Toko set her magic rests to full power. Through repeated second-bug bursts of time travel, Aoko was able to avoid the runes completely. She was either sending the attack's impact at a different time, or layering several thousands of herself atop one another. Whatever. No way she could keep up that kind of magical energy output.
1枚目
Aoko kicked the crystal, slapped to pieces. She remained distance 30 feet. Toko had 10 seconds of magical energy left, but that was all she needed. Aoko, on the other hand, would stop now if she had any common sense as a mage. She couldn't continue breaking the rules for much longer. Then again, time travel itself was breaking the rules.
Aoko!
Once again, Aoko used the same technique. Toko's suspicion turned into white-hot hatred. She couldn't care less about their time travel formula. It was the amount of magical energy she had. Where was she pulling the energy necessary to jump? To jump through time for so long?
やはりそうか。お前は。
It was the death of Soujuurou Shizuki. If she had brought him back 5 minutes to when he was still alive, where would those 5 minutes go? Oh, hey, Robin. August magic wasn't using parallel worlds to change this one. She had only rebound Soujurou's 5 minutes. Then, logically, he returned to being a corpse as soon as the magic ended. Time travel that didn't change the world couldn't change the past. Therefore, if she wanted to save him, she had to either truly resurrect him or send those 5 minutes of reality somewhere far away without returning them.
2枚目
Aoko showed no sign of slowing. From behind the crystal barrier, Toko glared at Aoko with disdain.
答えろアオコ。貴様、彼の時間をどこにやった。そこにあった熱量の帳尻をどうやって合わせている。
そんなの知るか。あいつの時間なら遥かな未来に置いてきたわよ。
15 feet to go. Faced with such madness, Toko wanted to cover her eyes. She put the depth of the present to the distant future? A time paradox would have been more humane. Such an enormous, haphazard consumption of heat could not be allowed. After all, time travel alone requires a massive amount of energy. Magical energy was required to bring things from somewhere else. At the same time, losing something that exists here consumed an incredible amount of energy. And what about the magical energy used for cooling? If fire fell out of equilibrium, it would mean total chaos. The distortion caused by her magic would come to affect this entire sector of space.
バカ、ここに極まったな。何千億年後に来る宇宙の死滅、人類の行く末に待つデッドエンドにさらなる負債を押し付ける気か。この星の頭上に隕石を作っているようなものだぞ。というか、お前の重みでこの星を押しつぶす気か。
That last comment made Aoko's eyes widen. Her every step exerted such force that broke the floorboards beneath her feet.
その時はその時で、今度は負債を過去に送ってやるわよ。それなら文句ないんでしょ。歪みに潰されるのは過去だけなんだから。
それで解決したつもりか。現在が確定している以上、過去を消滅させてもいいと。それでいいのは私たちだけだ。問題の総量、宇宙の負債はどうする。
Exactly. Even if the universe were closed, or the present were still expanding, the absurd increase in heat consumption would become uncontrollable. I wish. Wait for the infinite expansion, infinite consumption, and infinite growth is a future without hope. The nothingness before creation. Eventually, the universe would burn up.
青子の青崎の魔法はその結末をより確かなものにするだけだ。その責任をお前は。
言われなくても分かってる。責任なんて私が生きてる間に何とかするわよ。
5 feet to go. The rune blast, now carrying all of Toko's hatred, focused into a scorching hot laser beam. Her body being torn into by the intense heat. Her emotions raging, Aoko threw her foot into the ground.
責任を取ると言ったな。ではその具体案は。
そんなのこれから考えるに決まってるでしょ。
お前は最悪だ。
Toko's side's defense was shattered. Close enough to connect, the two mages unleashed their magecraft. Red runes flew at her, and a cascade of magic bullets, Aoko Aozaki's crest were torn to pieces, and so was Toko herself.